So you might be asking yourself right about now, I mean, if you even clicked on the video, you might have just seen the video in the live feed there and said to yourself, Tougie's talking about wrestling. Okay, not for me. Or maybe you clicked on this video and you were intrigued, and in which case, hey, I at least thank you for that. But prior to this past weekend, a lot of people started asking me, Tougie, are you a wrestling fan? Did you or are you planning on watching NXT TakeOver and SummerSlam from this past weekend? And the answer to all three questions was yes. Now, as I mentioned before, while I'm typically, just the NHL content guy, this channel is still going to be whatever the hell I feel like playing or talking about. And for those who don't know, and I'm, fuck it. I don't know, it's like a weird stigma to be like, oh, I'm a wrestling fan, but I am a wrestling fan. I have been for pretty much my entire life. My parents are both wrestling fans, although their interest, has wavered as mine does as well. But I've mentioned before that, man, I won the lottery when it comes to who my parents are, because I couldn't imagine being interested in anything else. I love wrestling. I love hockey. It's great. It's great. But yeah, I've been a wrestling fan for 20 some odd years now. I mean, I'm still in my early to mid 20s, we'll say. Am I going to put a specific number on that? Someday, when I just don't give a fuck anymore. But yeah, dude, I've been a wrestling fan for my entire life. I'm in that top 1%, which that's the part that you kind of have to be a little bit embarrassed about owning up to, where, I talk wrestling all the time. I listen to wrestling-related podcasts. I'm in that 1%. Now, I don't watch, for example, WWE-wise, I don't watch every Raw, SmackDown, NXT. I typically just kind of limit it to the pay-per-views, which is really the only thing worth watching half the time, although that can be debatable after SummerSlam, but we'll get into that later in this video. But, in a different video entirely, I can go into, my wrestling history, so to speak, about, what promotions I've watched, how long I've been watching for, all that different stuff. I mean, I've mentioned on Twitch, I'm a big New Japan fan as well, which will factor into the NXT card we're about to talk about, just in terms of quality. But yeah, anyway, I want to get into breaking down these shows. Like I mentioned, I said I'd talk about them. Here we are. The video is probably going up a little bit later than I wanted it to. Originally, I was just going to talk about NXT on Sunday. Then I was going to talk about SummerSlam and NXT on Monday. I didn't get this video out on Monday, and now I'm having to redo it because certain things happened on Raw that are at least worth mentioning. So, what do you say we get into this? What do you say we get in this? Like I said, man, it's my channel. It might not always be hockey. It's about whatever the hell I want to play, whatever the hell I want to talk about. And if this intrigues you, let me know. Leave a like on the video, of course. Normally, I don't ask until the end, but, typically when, if I'm putting up an NHL video and it gets 1,000 some odd views, I'm like, oh, okay, obviously I'm going to keep doing that. If I put this up and it gets 100 views, I'm going to be like, do people really want to see this? So you get the point. If you end up enjoying this video, let me know. But yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. And like I said, I can talk about a whole bunch of different wrestling in a different video. Let's talk about NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3 and SummerSlam, starting off with NXT, of course. And I will say, I'm not going to do full breakdowns, right? I'm not going to be like, oh, okay, Andrade almost hit this move on Gargano, and then this happened. No, I'm going to leave those breakdowns for other people. It's not my style. Who cares? If you want in-depth breakdowns like that, go listen to one of the Law's million podcasts, live audio wrestling. And if you don't listen to them, what's wrong with you? I've been listening to them for a decade. They do a better job than I ever could. So go check that out if that's your type of thing. I'm just going to talk about what I enjoyed with the match and, in particular, stuff like that. You get the point. Yeah, can you tell I haven't scripted this? Can you tell? So NXT, I'm not going to have a very different opinion compared to what most people have. This show was amazing. Like I mentioned, I'm a New Japan fan. I haven't missed a show in 6 or 7 years. I've watched every show this year, all of the G1. I've seen some incredible wrestling. I've seen some incredible cards just this year alone. This is a card of the year contender. This show was that good. It's only 5 matches. The shortest of which was 12 minutes. The longest of which was 22 and a half. This was an incredible card. And I loved every second of it. The opener. Andrade Cien Almas against Johnny Gargano. Just, who expected this? Really? I mean, I didn't. I mean, it sucks because Almas has been a bit wasted in the past year or so since he's debuted, but finally they put him against the right opponent to really have him be able to showcase just how good he is, and hopefully people don't assume like, oh, Johnny Gargano is the reason he had a good match. Like, no, this guy is that good to begin with. Again, kind of talking about what promotions I've kept an eye on. Kept an eye on CMLL while he was there, especially while Los Ingobernables was, starting out at the beginning. He's incredible. He is incredible, and I'm so happy that this match went the way it did. You could argue this was the best match on the card, which really there are arguments for at least 4 matches, maybe even the main event, although I doubt the main event is going to win a particular vote when it comes to match of the night. But a lot of people were a bit upset that Gargano lost. Yes, CN finally got a big win, which is great. It finally happened. Gargano's Teflon. He's untouchable. A loss isn't going to hurt him. Kind of like John Cena at this point. Not quite, obviously. But I'm just saying, Johnny Gargano's so over that one loss isn't going to hurt him, especially in the way that it happened. It was a great match. You have the finish with Almas' new manager, Zelina Vega, throwing in a DIY shirt to distract him, which was perfect. Absolutely perfect, because obviously they've had to put that match with Gargano and Ciampa on the back burner while Tommaso Ciampa is injured. So it was a perfect way to kind of continue that and still hint towards, hey, Gargano still kind of has his attention on that, and to give Almas a gigantic win. A spectacular match, arguably better than anything we saw on SummerSlam, at least prior to the main event. You could argue that. You could definitely argue that. But again, we'll talk about SummerSlam and all 16 matches shortly. But I love this opener. Great stuff between those two. The second match, Sanity, Alexander Wolfe and Eric Young. Originally supposed to be Killian Dane, but they kind of did a surprise little swap there against the authors of Pain, Akam, and Razor. Of course, the precious Paul Ellering. God, I still love that he's a manager there for the tag team titles. When I mentioned who expected the Almas Gargano match to be as good as it was, who expected this tag match to be as good as it was? It was incredible, and a large part of the credit goes to the crowd, because they easily could have just sat on their hands and been quiet the entire time, but they weren't. They gave this match a chance, which I'll, hint towards, I'll talk about how a certain crowd on Monday didn't quite do the same thing. However, that's a whole different debate. I'm not sure if we'll go down that rabbit hole completely, but the NXT title tag match was spectacular. A real showcase for Alexander Wolfe, who finally showed how good he is as well. This was a star-making performance on his part. You have Nikki Cross taking the table bump with Killian Dane, and I think it was Razor at the time. I'm not entirely sure. Akam has tattoos. Razor doesn't. That's all I know, and I can't remember who went through the table. It was a really good match, though. It was a great match. The Authors of Pain, you got to give them credit. You have to give them credit. They have improved at such a ridiculous rate. I don't think anybody expected these guys to be as good as they are. That's not to say, that they're like these incredible workers that can put on a good match. It's like, they can. They can. Obviously, if you put them in a match with certain people, it might not be that great. But they hold their own, is what I'm saying. They are good on their own. And it's good to see them finally getting the credit that they deserve. Again, this was a great match. Whether or not they show up on SmackDown, I kind of hope that they do, because what else can they really do? We know in the aftermath of this match with Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, whether or not they call him Red Dragon, who knows. But we know with those two attacking Sanity after the match, after they won the titles, that is the direction in which they're going. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the Authors of Pain on SmackDown. Not exactly going out on a limb. I think everybody expects them to be revealed as the ones that attacked Fandango and Tyler Breeze, which I still love those two, by the way. But yeah, again, another great match. Who expected that? Sanity, although, it's kind of weird with them kind of sort of being faces at the moment, all of a sudden. 2 for 2 so far, as, when it comes to the great matches. Just amazing so far. Third match, Alistair Black, Hideo Itami. As hard-hitting as promised, still something felt a bit off. Maybe it's just because everybody rightfully assumed that Alistair Black was going to win again. Maybe it's just people are still a bit on Hideo Itami. And just, I think he's great. He's still great. And I still love what he did in this match as far as heel work goes, but yeah, I don't know, man. I think people are so cold on him just because there was a lot of hype, and then since he came to NXT originally, so much amazing talent has already come through NXT and just completely eclipsed him. No pun intended as far as what went on Monday. But I still love this match. I've seen people argue that this was the match of the night as well. It didn't quite live up to what I think it could have been, but it was still a really good match. Alistair Black gets the win, and a busted nose as well. But again, really enjoyable match. 3 for 3 as far as good matches go, and we wouldn't stop there. And like I mentioned, man, as far as full breakdowns go, what else do you want me to say? 3 matches, all 3 of them amazing, and then you get to the 4th match. Probably the most popular vote for match of the night on this TakeOver card, Asuka against Ember Moon for the NXT Women's title. I have nothing to say. It was spectacular. It was spectacular. A star-making performance for Ember Moon, although the post-match was a little bit weird. I mean, she got the standing ovation, which is good, but it almost felt like a send-off. Like, yeah, we appreciate you. Have fun on the main roster. It's almost what it felt like. Everybody expects Asuka to be called up as the undefeated champion, because who the hell is going to beat her at this point? Then you find out that she broke her collarbone in this match and is going to be out for 2 months or so, which might not necessarily be a bad thing. I mean, you can still have it be, like she faces the winner of the Mae Young Classic tournament at the TakeOver that'll probably be attached to Survivor Series. She'll be healthy in time for that. You would assume that's about 3 months away. Survivor Series in November, of course. So I think that'll still work out all right. And then maybe we see Asuka as soon as after Survivor Series. Maybe they hold off now until WrestleMania, like the Raw after WrestleMania, who's to say? Not entirely sure. But this match was incredible. Absolutely incredible. And it's so funny, too, because with Asuka, it was never expect her to get called up to the main roster. They pretty much have no choice right now. Like, that was the big thing when she was signed. She was just going to be like that star in NXT. They pretty much have no choice but to call her up at some point. I mean, WrestleMania at the latest, but for a match that was technically just shy of 15 minutes, I mean, for a lot of people, if you're not a New Japan fan, it's in contention for WWE Match of the Year, you could argue. It was that good. It was that good. And there have been a lot of really good matches in the WWE/NXT this year. This match is absolutely up there. So, NXT TakeOver cards, man. 5 matches. The first 4 on this were all spectacular and could be legitimately argued for the match of the show. That's not to hate on the main event, Bobby Roode defending the NXT Championship against Drew McIntyre. It's a different style, right? It's still, the WWE main event style, for the most part, is still kind of the same. I mean, obviously when you're talking about, just how matches play out in general, for the most part, when it's a singles match in the main event, it kind of plays out the same way. Bobby Roode is really old school style as far as the way he actually works. So as far as his matches go on NXT, obviously the gimmick at the moment on the mic, he's great. But in the ring, he just doesn't do it for a lot of people. But when it comes to that old school main event style, he is one of the best. And Drew McIntyre is up there. Fair credit to him. Not to mention, he has a little bit more flash, I would say. The senton over the top, the plancha over the top speaks for itself. I mean, the guy's a monster. He's 6'5". I watched him, and again, talking about how much wrestling I pay attention to, I followed him throughout ICW once he returned. Thank God for ICW On Demand. I'm actually a pretty big fan of that promotion, despite not being that big of a fan of hardcore wrestling. But I was able to follow him there. I am a big Drew McIntyre fan. I was so happy to see him back. And I was happy to see him get the title here. Of course, with Bobby Roode losing, everybody expects him to be called up to SmackDown, maybe Raw as well. But as we'll talk about with Baron Corbin when talking about SummerSlam, people expect Bobby Roode to now get that main spot. Maybe not, true main event spot with Jinder Mahal and the WWE title, but they expect him to get that one of the featured spots on SmackDown now that he's dropped the title. So we'll see if that happens. I almost feel like I should have waited to make this video until after SmackDown so that I could have talked about that. But yeah, Bobby Roode drops the title to Drew McIntyre. Very happy for Drew McIntyre. Big fan of his. Excited to see if Bobby Roode does indeed end up on the main roster. Maybe they keep him around for an extra set of tapings and don't call him up until after Survivor Series or the Rumble. Tough to say. But the post-match is what the majority of people are still talking about with this. Like I said, that main event style, it might not be for everybody. Even the crowd, halfway through the match, they kind of lost interest. But it built back up towards the end. But Drew McIntyre, your new champion, is attacked by Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, and the debuting Adam Cole. I give them so much credit. Because before the match, you're showing Samoa Joe, you're showing Kevin Owens in the crowd. You know, you plant them in the front row and be like, hey, look who's here, and then they leave, which is fine. But you show that. And then people are like, okay, Adam Cole's going to be on camera right here, right now. It doesn't happen. Then you start the main event. So the fans kind of have that disappointment of like, oh, what the fuck was Adam Cole? Maybe he'll show up after the event, after the main event. So throughout most of the match, I think that was also part of the problem for McIntyre and Roode as far as losing the crowd halfway through, as a lot of people were disappointed that Adam Cole wasn't shown on camera. I do think that hurt the match a little bit. And then they tried to tease you again with taking down the end of show graphic in the corner, which worked tremendously well and even fooled me with Ciampa and Gargano. Didn't quite work here. I think that's what they wanted, though. They wanted you to sit on the edge of your seat and go, there's no way the show's over. There's no way. There's no way. And indeed it wasn't. Adam Cole comes out. The trio lays out Drew McIntyre. Adam Cole, baby, is in NXT. And it's awesome, man. With takeovers, the build-up, especially for the past couple, hasn't been tremendous. The shows themselves always deliver. This show over-delivered. This show, again, like I said, a show of the year contender. It was absolutely spectacular. And now you have the hype of this ROH trio, whatever they will end up calling them, being in NXT, in contention for the world title, for the tag titles. It breathes new life into NXT, and it really kind of, whether or not you lose Bobby Roode and the Authors of Pain, who the hell knows. But the cycle continues, and it's not like there's a lack of talent that they could bring into NXT to keep that momentum going. So, to sum up this event, I think I summed it up very well at the start of this video. It is a show of the year contender. I will probably be watching it again the moment, or while I'm editing this, I will probably start watching this event again. It was spectacular from top to bottom. And then we get to SummerSlam. Now, here's the thing, right? A lot of people always say, and you've heard this said a million times, how is SummerSlam going to live up to NXT? And I never personally try to compare it directly to NXT because it is two different things, right? It is two very different things. NXT takeovers are very straightforward. WWE matches, SummerSlam, I don't know. I mean, there are obvious comparisons, right? But two different focuses, we'll say. And it helps that one was, 2.5 hours. The other one had 16 matches, if you include the 3 pre-show matches. So, yeah, let's just get into this. Now, as far as the pre-show, right? I don't have anything to say about The Miz and The Miz Taraj beating the Hardys and Jason Jordan, aside from the fact that I feel sorry that the arena screwed up and didn't let people into the building as early as they should have because they wrestled in front of absolutely nobody. I'm a fan of The Miz and, what he does on the mic. I'm still a huge fan of Curtis Axel. Like, flat out, people who I talk wrestling with know this. I still love Curtis Axel. Him winning the IC title in Chicago on Father's Day is still perhaps one of my favorite moments in the past decade in WWE. I'm still a huge fan of his. I'm at least happy he's still on TV. I am. And Bo Dallas, fair credit with Bo Dallas. I did like his run as NXT champion, but they keep trying. They keep trying with these two. I mean, well, quote unquote trying. They're at least on TV, right? And then with the Hardys, I mean, God, you could make your own video talking about how they're in their holding pattern because of the whole controversy over the broken stuff and whether or not they can get the rights from TNA. Then you have the whole Jason Jordan shit. And the Jason Jordan deal is why it's sometimes embarrassing to be like, yeah, I'm a wrestling fan. I don't even want to get into the angle. I don't care. Literally, I don't even want to get into the angle. It's so bad. It is so bad. I miss American Alpha. That's all I'll say, and I have nothing to say about this match other than it shouldn't have been on the card. That was SummerSlam's big problem. You should have trimmed a lot of the fat because there was just too much on this card when there didn't need to be. Which brings me to the second pre-show match. Neville wins back the Cruiserweight title from Akira Tazawa. Apparently, according, I think it was the Observer that reported on this, that you get there Monday, Neville's not supposed to lose, and then Vince McMahon just literally said, nah, Tazawa gets the belt. And then they put it right back on Neville, which, talking about the cruiserweights in WWE right now could be its own deal. It could be its own video. It's so frustrating. But, I mean, I did watch the match. I did watch the Go Home Raw, because it was in Boston. I was thinking about going. I didn't kind of regret it because the crowd was great, and you did get a really good cruiserweight match between these two last time out. This one was like 12 minutes, I think, which still good, but I'm not a big fan of hot potatoing the title. And when you hear, me mention, hey, a fan of New Japan, and you talk about some of their titles, which, granted, some of their titles do get hot potatoed back, but, I'm not a fan of it, regardless, no matter what promotion it happens in. So, cool, Neville has the belt back, but I could have gone without seeing this match after seeing it on Monday. It didn't have to be on the pre-show. It just added to a already bloated card. You do get to the third pre-show match, though. Holy hell. The Usos and the New Day for the SmackDown Tag Titles. The Usos win the belts back. Incredible match. Again, I don't need to sit here and break it down. Watch it. I don't want to sit here and break down what happened in this match. You should go out and watch it. It is free to watch on YouTube. WWE, of course, has the whole pre-show up on their channel. It was a spectacular match. It really was, and deserving of the main card, and you could argue match of the night. I would say this and the main event are probably 1 and 2 as far as the show goes, and then you'll have the Raw Tag Title match and the US title match kind of in there, but I'd put them secondary behind this pre-show match in the main event. It's a damn shame this is on the pre-show, but it was a spectacular match. Not sure how many more matches we're going to get between these two combinations, although they do continue to, put on some tremendous performances. But yeah, just incredible match. No other way to define it, really. It was that damn good. You get to the main card, though. You get to the main card. And the problem with making a video like this is I do have a lot of thoughts. However, I don't want this video to be 3 hours long. Half the length of SummerSlam. Yeah. John Cena and Baron Corbin opened the show. In what was Cena's worst match in a long time, worst pay-per-view match in a long time. I'm not one of those people that hates John Cena. I mean, I haven't been in a while. The only time I quote-unquote disliked John Cena was when we just went over the top, like with the with the Super Cena stuff. And I'm talking like Nexus and 2010 levels of Super Cena stuff. That's the only time where I'm just like, man, fuck this. I hate this. This is so bad. But I mean, I could sit here and talk about in-ring work and all that shit. I don't mind John Cena. It's obvious what this match was. You have all that reporting on backstage stuff, issues with Baron Corbin. Well, here you go. Loses Money in the Bank on SmackDown, and then just gets punked out to Cena in 10 minutes. Awful. It was absolutely awful. I feel sorry for Baron Corbin because if people didn't care about him before, which you could kind of argue, people definitely don't care about him now. At all. Just, you've ruined the guy. You've ruined the guy. And if that's what you wanted, congratulations. You have succeeded. And then John Cena, of course, as we'll talk about. Actually, fuck it, we'll talk about it right now. Then John Cena is transferred over to Raw. And it's looking like we're going to get John Cena and Roman Reigns, which is cool. I'd rather see that at Mania and have it not be for the title and have, somehow see if you can delay Brock and, say, Braun, although we're doing that at No Mercy. That's also what I could have talked about before. I'm talking about that right now. Cena and Reigns is fine. I think, it'd be better suited for a Mania, though. That's not going to happen, apparently. I mean, everyone knows it's still going to be Roman and Brock for the title at WrestleMania. Ugh. Just, ugh. But, yeah, poor Baron Corbin. Poor Baron Corbin. That's all I have to say. Natalya and Naomi for the SmackDown Women's title. Natalya wins. Completely clean. Okay. I mean, Natalya's fine in ring, right? Nobody's going to argue that. Problem is, nobody cares. Nobody cares. There are certain... Now, I try to look at every match and, I'll grade, quote-unquote, grade matches on a scale. Like, I'm not going to... I'm not going to grade this match to the same kind of... I'm trying to think of the right words here. I'm not going to grade this match like I would Asuka and Ember Moon. Different circumstances, although they did nearly get the same amount of time. Problem is, nobody gives a shit about Natalya because of certain gimmicks you've had her have in the past. And again, this is where it gets embarrassing to be like, hey, I'm a wrestling fan. Once you kind of label someone as, hey, she's known for farting, people don't give a shit or a shart. So nobody really cared. Good for her, though. By all accounts, really good person. Tenured there. She's been there for a really long time. Good for her. Naomi as the champion, I was kind of, anyway. She's not bad. Like, at all. She's not bad. But, I don't know, man. SmackDown's a bit weird at the moment. And nothing to do with Carmella. You teased her cashing in. She didn't. Whatever. I don't care. I don't care about the SmackDown Women's title at all. Speaking of not caring, Big Cass and the Big Show. Yeah. God. So Enzo Amore's fucked, isn't he? Like, he's just screwed. He didn't even get a crowd reaction in Brooklyn. Like, people were silent during his promo. It was really bad. Talk about whatever backstage issues Baron Corbin might have. Enzo's right in the same dog. He is in the same doghouse right next to him. Yikes. I don't know how much longer he's going to be around. In this match, it literally built to, hey, here's Enzo above the ring being annoying. He loops himself up to slip out of the shark cage, drops down to the mat, and gets his head taken off with a big boot. By the way, Big Cass, it's not that I'm not a fan of you. Your big boot just isn't better than Test's. Test had the best big boot. Rest in peace, Test. But anyway, yeah. So Enzo gets made to look like a joke. Cass beats the Big Show. This match did not need to go 10.5 minutes. It really didn't. Again, I don't mind Big Cass. No, again, having to re-record this, knowing what we know now on Raw with Cass apparently blowing out his knee, that really fucking sucks. However, this might honestly be what he needed. What was he going to do from now until the Royal Rumble? He'll have a good showing in the Rumble, but there was really nothing for him to do. There's really nothing for Cass to do in general right now. He was going to have a good showing in the Rumble. You'd probably put him in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal at Mania, and he'd probably win that. There's really nothing else for him to do right now. And aside from Enzo having backstage heat, I don't know why they would have split up that team. I really don't. I feel sorry for Cass, especially now with the knee injury. Hopefully he's back sooner rather than later, or at least have him return at the Rumble. Because honestly, what the hell was he going to do for the next 5 months anyway? Nothing. Nothing at all. You weren't going to have him feud with The Miz. He's feuding with Jason Jordan. There was nothing for Cass to do at all. So I'm not against this. And the match itself at SummerSlam, oh my god. Again, I talk about, grading on a curve here and just judging matches for what they are. This match was just bad. It was boring and bad. Match number 7, if you want to call it that. Oh my god, match number 7. Jesus. Randy Orton and Rusev. Right next to Enzo and Baron Corbin is Rusev, apparently. He attacks Orton before the bell rings, 10 seconds, RKO, it's over. Just why? I talk about trimming the fat, right? The very first match, The Miz and the Hardys didn't need to be on the show. Neville and Tazawa didn't need to be on the show. Cass and Big Show didn't need to be on SummerSlam. You could have had that in like a main event of Raw or something. That didn't need to be on SummerSlam. And Randy Orton and Rusev didn't need to be on SummerSlam. Like, talk about having it be its own video, how stupid it was, like the whole Orton-Mahal deal, and then Orton beats Mahal on a SmackDown, but then he's facing Rusev at the pay-per-view, and Rusev was going to have Jinder Spot as the kind of champion at the moment. They put that on the back burner because India #1. Just poor Rusev. Poor Baron. Poor Rusev. I used to be such a huge Orton fan. It is what it is. I'm still a fan of his. He hasn't done anything interesting in a long time. This was no different. And I don't blame him for not doing anything interesting. But, again, you talk about trimming the fat. I wouldn't have minded seeing these guys have like a 10, 12-minute match if you had just gotten rid of some of the other stuff that was on this show that didn't need to be. But you can't even call this a match. It was pointless. It was depressing. It was depressing, flat out. Match number 8, the Raw Women's title, Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss. I can't claim to care. I can't. Big fan of Alexa Bliss for numerous reasons, as I'm sure most guys would agree, and probably women, let's be honest. I just don't care about Sasha Banks anymore. I don't care about Bayley anymore either. How did they... how did you just... How did they screw this up? I mean, yeah, Sasha's still over. Bayley's getting booed like crazy. I don't understand how it was nearly impossible to fail. And I guess in a way you can say that they didn't fail. But at the moment, they're failing with Bayley. A lot of people, myself included, are bored with Sasha. Charlotte, unfortunately, everything that's gone on with Ric Flair hasn't, really been featured all that much, which... I mean, she lost to Natalya at the last pay-per-view anyway, leading to Natalya winning the belt here. Just the 4 horsewomen, man. The only way they get revitalized at this point is if they do actually go through with the 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen match at Survivor Series with Banks, Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and Bayley against Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler, and I always forget the other 2, even though I'm an MMA fan. I can't remember. Shit. Jessamine Duke, and I can never remember the other one. I swear, she's the one married to Roderick Strong, right? I think she is. Anyway, you get the point. That's the only way to revitalize those 4, in my opinion. Otherwise, I just don't care. Pray for Alexa Bliss that she doesn't get put up against Nia Jax, because we don't want Alexa Bliss to get hurt, now do we? Match number 9. Speaking of matches that didn't need to happen. Finn Balor and Bray Wyatt. Now, here's the thing. On Raw, they didn't need to have a match. Have Finn Balor beat Kurt Hawkins or whatever. Bray Wyatt comes out, attacks him, does the whole viscous acidic liquid because we can't say blood. Just have it be green. Have him slime him. That was the meme anyway, with people photoshopping turning the red blood, green anyway. Like, just don't have a match first. Just don't. You don't need to do that. I get it. It's their way of being like, hey, but you say Bray Wyatt never wins, but he did beat Balor before the demon happened. Look, they're equal, but then Balor's demon, it's the equalizer. It's like, yeah, I get it, but still, this match didn't have too much to it. The crowd did start to wake up a little bit more during this match, and it was an all-right match. Balor gets the win like he should, but still, it didn't need to happen on Monday. Bray Wyatt, just speaking of people who I'm a fan of, but I kind of hope you just go away for a bit. Refresh, recharge the batteries, because they haven't known how to book you in the past 4 years whatsoever, and I feel sorry for you at this point. And Finn Balor, what's he moving on to? Suppose he's going to have a match with Elias next. I don't fucking know, but it's not like he's getting anywhere close to the Universal title anytime soon, so who cares? But yeah, the pay-per-view from this point, though, the last 4 matches, last 3 out of 4 matches were 3 out of the last 4 matches were decent. Match number 10 on this show, Ambrose and Rollins against Cesaro and Sheamus. Great match, highlighted by Cesaro murdering a beach ball, which will forever live in internet history. As far as the whole 2/3 of the Shield reuniting, whatever, it's fine. It is fine. Thankfully, Boston gave them a hell of a reaction on Raw when they actually did the whole fist pose and everything. So that was cool. They win the titles. I'm fine with that. Where does it go from here? I have no idea. They did have a match with the Hardys on Raw, and that's fine, but whatever. Sheamus is apparently going to go film a movie, so I don't think we'll be seeing the rematch anytime soon unless they rush it and then he goes and does the movie. I expect them to have a half-decent reign. I was hoping, as a lot of other people were, especially when you saw Roman Reigns enter for the main event, Ambrose and Rollins both wearing red. Rollins looks like a goddamn Power Ranger, and then Reigns came out wearing red as well, and you almost thought, maybe, just maybe it's an intentional tease. Who knows? But anyway, good match. That's all I had to say. And you could argue, match of the show, maybe? I mean, most people would put the SmackDown Tag Title match over this one, for sure. But it was a good match. Not that hard to say this was a match of the night contender when this card was as meh as it was. AJ Styles and Kevin Owens. United States title, Shane McMahon is the referee. Again, you gotta grade these matches on the curb. Still probably the best match Styles and Owens have had in WWE at this point, despite Shane McMahon being a major focal point and focus point of this match, like you knew he would be, as they're leading towards, of course, an Owens-Shane McMahon match, probably at Survivor Series. Hooray. Although I don't think it'll be that bad. A lot of people are like, oh, it's gonna be awful. Like, no, it's not gonna be awful. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It's not going to be Omega Okada, but it'll be fine. Like I said, this match was probably their best, and that's cool. Styles keeps the belt, which he should have. That's fine. Don't know what AJ does next, but the match itself, I'm good with. But you can tell at this point, just even talking about this show, it's exhausting. It's exhausting, and by this point, man, I was fucking exhausted. And then after this next match, I was depressed. Jinder Mahal and Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, look. I'm fine with the heel champion cheating to win, right? That's not my issue with Jinder Mahal. Although, yes, it is funny that 2/3 of 3MB are champions, which, by the way, I hope that goes away. That's why I mentioned, like with Natalya, it's like, people don't care because they've been labeled as that. I can look past 3MB when it comes to Drew McIntyre, Jinder Mahal, and even Heath Slater. Point being, if you work hard enough, you can kind of make people just be like, fuck, I remember when they were a part of that. Although I'd say the McIntyre deal was a bit more, a bit more well done as far as, hey, there was actually some build up as opposed to, hey, here's Jinder Mahal, he's champion now, learn to love it. Anyway, point was, I can deal with a heel champion cheating to win. That's fine. However, did you have to make Shinsuke look so dumb? I mean, interference and finisher, 1, 2, 3. Colossus, 1, 2, 3. Like, really? That's the finish to the match? Really? It's boring. It's not like, oh, the heel cheated to win again. That's fine. That's fine. That's wrestling. It is what it is. But did you have to make Shinsuke look so dumb? I don't think you did. So that's really my main issue, which we'll see what happens. We'll see who Jinder eventually loses the belt to. I don't necessarily care. I mean, Shinsuke will get a rematch, and that's fine. But just, I don't know, man. Just so disappointing. So disappointing. We get to the main event, though. Not disappointing. A lot of people are being like, it's the same stuff. Mainly when talking about, hey, Lesnar retains. I love this match, though. It was great. It made the event worth staying up for. It really did. It made sitting through some of the really, really low moments of the show actually worth it. It was everything I wanted it to be, with just 4 fucking monsters just finisher spamming, and you get Brock getting put through tables doing the stretcher out, which was perfect, because then you thought at that point, like, oh, well, if he doesn't come back, then yeah, he's gone, but if he does come back, then maybe not. You knew Brock was going to come back after that, but what a performance from Braun Strowman, the star of the match for sure. Samoa Joe looked all right. I would have liked him to get a little bit more offense in there, because every time where it's just like, oh, hey, look, Lesnar and Roman are in the ring. Here comes Samoa Joe, and he gets taken out. It's Lesnar and Braun. Here comes Joe, and Joe goes down again. Like, every time. But, like I kind of mentioned, with a lot of TakeOver matches, I don't have too much else to say, other than the match should be watched, it should be enjoyed, because it was a great match. It was. And like I said, it made this event worth staying up for. Lesnar retains. We know that it's going to be Lesnar and Strowman in about a month at No Mercy, which is cool. Looking forward to that. Intrigued to see how they get out of it, because I don't necessarily see Braun winning. Although there was the report that Lesnar wants to put over Strowman and not Roman. So we'll see. Maybe we get a shock title change. And who knows, man. Maybe we end up with Braun and Strowman at WrestleMania. That's a long way away, though. That's a long ways away. I don't think we can exactly pencil that in at the moment. But anyway, overall, NXT was incredible. I'm glad to have watched it. SummerSlam, the highs were high. The lows were, oh my God, the lows. Weren't they low? But as far as SummerSlam goes, for what you should kind of seek out, I mean, I would say Neville and Tazawa, but nah. I mean, definitely the Usos and the New Day. That was a great match. Banks and Bliss, Balor and Wyatt, nah. I mean, they're not bad, but I wouldn't, go out of my way to see them. Ambrose and Rollins against Cesaro and Sheamus. Good match. Wouldn't regret watching that either. Same with Styles and Owens. But if I had to be like, okay, the matches you absolutely want to watch, Usos, New Day, and the main event for sure. And as far as NXT goes, watch the whole damn thing. Watch it 3 times over because it was a great goddamn show. Guys, I think that does it. I'm intrigued to see how this video does. Kind of podcast form, we'll say. Probably would have more production to it if I had the old webcam, which I don't still at the moment. Don't worry. In time, that'll probably be a thing, and then you can see my ugly mug talk about hockey and wrestling, and it'll be awful, but that's okay. Let me know down in the comment section what you thought of both NXT, SummerSlam, and this video itself. And I think that pretty much brings this Tougie's Take to a close. So you guys know what to do to support the video and the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already, all that stuff. Links to the Twitter and the Twitch are in the comments section. And I will see you guys next time.